Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Hammock. I'm the artist for today, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. I want to start the service with a wonderful song, It's a Beautiful Morning, which it is, actually. Here we go. You guys, I'm sure you remember this. It's a beautiful morning. Ah, I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air, boy. No sense in staying inside if the weather's fine and you've got the time. It's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day. Either way, it's a beautiful morning. Ah, each bird keeps singing his own song. So long, I've got to be on my way now. No fun just hanging around. I got to cover ground. It ain't no good if the sun is shining, and if you're inside, you shouldn't hide. Oh, it's a beautiful morning. Oh, there will be robins with children and flowers. La da 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 da. Oh, it's a beautiful morning. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh.
It is indeed a beautiful morning. Good morning, Karen
Good
Hammock.
morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. I love that song by the
Isn't it
Rascals.
fun?
Right? Brings us what a great way to start off the morning and to
Yeah.
bring in the daylight and create a new attitude for the day, no matter how long we may have been up, because some of us it may have been for hours and hours, and some may be just crawling out from underneath the covers wherever they right? And all of that is perfect. Happy post Thanksgiving Sunday morning to you.
You too. You
Good. I can tell from the smile on your face, there's joy in your heart, and you're so happy to be here.
I am.
I know, and we're very happy to have you here. It's really
I'm not
wonderful to
kidding.
have you back. Good. Well, thanks for being here. I'm so appreciative that you're our musical artist today. I know that you have beautiful things planned for us,
Yes.
and it's going to be a great morning of connection and inspiration and communion for all of us. So thank you. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox. I'm the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and welcome to our Sunday morning celebration service. It is Sunday morning, November 27th in the year 2022, and if you're joining us live, you're doing that here in our virtual home, either via Zoom or Facebook, or potentially at a later date on our YouTube channel. It's a pleasure to have your energy in the room, and Karen has so beautifully set the energy and the tone for us by singing the song by the Rascals, It's a Beautiful Morning. I love that as an opening for us because it reminds us that no matter what's going on in the external of life itself, that we have the ability to make a decision, a declaration, if you will, and change our view of what's going on in the external by tending to what's going on internally, our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our reactions to life itself. And in the most depths of the metaphysical reality is not only do we change our view, but by changing how we see things, ultimately things in front of us indeed change. So welcome to our community known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles as we come together this morning. I'm going to put on the screen our welcoming slides, and I invite you to enjoy those as we begin our service today. And so we are a community that supports our vision statement, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, it's my intention, and I know that of Karen's as well, and our board of trustees and all who are a part of this community to engage in this for ourselves and for everyone else. And so let's begin by honoring each other with a hello and acknowledgement. We like to do that through the act of namaste. Namaste is a Sanskrit word. Its literal meaning is I bow to you. In the modern day, understanding and terminology and application of this term, so often we hear it as the spirit or the God or the force of life in me honors and acknowledges that within you. And so let's put our hands together in prayer position, taking a deep breath in, bowing forward, bringing forth in our mind's eye all who may be a part of this today, the world at large. And let's say together, Namaste. I honor you, knowing that you indeed honor me. We welcome you once again here. As a community, we've come together for over 30 years to teach primarily the science of mind. The science of mind is what was coined in the late 19th and early 20th century as a New Thought philosophy, meaning that it is incumbent upon us as mental beings to do our best in life to indeed have a new thought. Primarily when it was put together as a New Thought philosophy among with many other new ways of looking at life in the late 19th century and early 20th century was for the purpose of separating from that old Judeo-Christian ideology, of beginning to look from a new perspective, not that it was the first time in humans' evolution of this, but to begin to look at the power that is the creative source of life itself is in existence and individualizes itself by means of each individual. Ernest Holmes says, spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. This omniscient, omnipresent power that individualizes itself by means of you and by means of me is accessed through our mind, through our thinking, through our beliefs, through our actions, through our reactions and interactions with the very thing itself, life. And so we come here to practice knowing who we are as individualizations of the divinity. And we do that, as I just stated, through our behaviors, our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions in life. And the reason that that's important is because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law. In a nutshell, the law of life is impersonal and it responds to us by corresponding to our state of being, how we indeed live our life. So what we're called to do then is to support each other in this vision of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. That spiritual awakening in this context is remembering who we are as divine beings and the power that we're imbued with. The qualities of this force of life, according to this philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind, includes peace and power and beauty and joy and love and life and wisdom and light. Light. One of the ways that we acknowledge this light is by welcoming everyone into our service today. We welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities. We stand with you both literally and metaphorically as you move about the journey of your life, finding your own personal self-empowerment, honoring you as that stamp of individuality. And so together, let's affirm out loud, we welcome one and we welcome all. Light is what I was speaking of. We open our service each morning with a morning ritual called Calling in the Light. It's a metaphor in the sense that we're calling it in through our awareness of it. It already exists as it is because this omniscient power of life, which light is a quality of, exists in and as all beings of life. And so this purpose of this ritual is to remember who we are and how we can use light. And so let's begin the ritual. As we look at the flickering flame in the orb of light, let's know together that today, as we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we each possess as complete expressions of the divine. I named those earlier. So as we feel the vibrations shift during this experience, may we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life, which includes you, and it includes me. The quality of these, peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom, that I would like to focus on this morning is peace. Let's use the acronym for the word peace during this ritual to create an opportunity for each one of us to embrace our light in a more expansive way today. The acronym is Purposeful Energy Activates Conscious Evolution. P, the first letter, which stands for purposeful, which is defined as having or showing determination or resolve. May we each live our spiritual awakening today with resolve as we play a role in the co-creation of our lives through our mental and emotional actions and reactions. E stands for energy. In the book The Science of Mind, Dr. Holmes defines energy as a divine and unfailing attribute, and consequently there's never any lack of it. So today, may we each commit to using our energy in productive and life-enhancing ways. Moving to the third letter, A, and this acronym stands for activation, which is defined as the action or process of making something active or operative. So today, may we each consciously make active our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, and interaction in and as life, reflecting on the innate peace within all beings. C stands for conscious. Synonyms for the word conscious are awake, aware, alert, responsive, sentient. So in this moment, may we each turn into our ability to be aware and commit to living our life awake and alert to our ability to impact the world, and then consciously invoke peace with every thought and action. Moving to the final letter of peace, E. Looking at the energy transform on the screen, E stands for evolution. Dr. Holmes defines evolution as the passing of spirit into form. Traditionally, it's defined as the process of gradual, peaceful, progressive change or development. So today I affirm for all, as a result of our finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, that progressive changes and developments are manifesting in and as all spirit becomes form in our lives. Peace. Purposeful energy activates conscious evolution. Incorporating all of that which we just heard in this ritual, let's bring it together and now believe that the light and energy that we see on the screen is considered the healing light, the healing candle, if you will. So I ask you to take a moment and think of anyone that you'd like to silently put into the light of the healing flame so that they may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. And let's affirm together this Buddhist prayer of peace in the words, may all, or may those, we know that this is actually an affirmation, not a request. May all beings everywhere plagued with sufferings of body and mind quickly be freed from their illnesses. May those frightened cease to be afraid, and may those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of befriending one another. May those who find themselves in trackless, fearful wilderness, the children, the aged, and the unprotected, be guarded by beneficial celestials as they swiftly and intentionally attain Buddhahood. Buddhahood, in this sense, is that spiritual awakening that we each have before us. To wrap up our ritual, I'm going to invite Karen back on the screen to take us through our song, Let There Be Peace on Earth. The lyrics will be on the screen, and feel free to sing along.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father. Oily are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, and let's be moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And so it is. And let it begin with me, and it has begun with each one of us right now. Thank you, Karen. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Karen, I know that the next song that you have for us is an original song focused on gratitude.
It is.
Good. So I'm looking forward to hearing it. I know everyone else is as well. So do you want to take it away and share?
Sure. And I just want to say I was inspired by Ray Charles a little bit.
Oh, good.
Okay. So, here we go. I'm so grateful for the ones I love, the beautiful moon and the stars above, and I know, my heart tells me so. Well, I'm so grateful for the birds and the bees, the sun shining and the beautiful trees, and I know, because my heart, it tells me so. Gratitude, I'm so grateful for the ones I love, the beautiful moon and the stars above. How do I know? Because my heart, it tells me so. I'm so grateful for the birds and the bees, the sun shining and the beautiful trees. How do I know? Because my heart, it tells me so. Oh, gratitude. gratitude. We all need gratitude. Ooh, ooh,
I love it. That's definitely some elements of Ray Charles there.
ooh. Why
Two,
not?
for sure. And gratitude is such a transformative force, and
It's
it's
really an action.
it's an action, it's a
Yeah,
force, it's an energy, and it's transformative if we're open to using it. So, thank you. I'm grateful for you for being here today and
I'm
sharing your
grateful to
light.
you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you after my message.
Yes, sir. All
Great,
right.
sounds good. Gratitude clearly is the essence of the past 4 or 5 days, or even week that we've all been through with this week of Thanksgiving here in the United States of America. And I affirm for each one of us that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday and a wonderful Thanksgiving experience, and that you each had the opportunity, whether your gathering was large or small, or with new people, or alone, or with repeated family members, that it was one that provided for you, and you chose to seek that opportunity to allow the love that's within your heart to rise up and make itself known, to remember that we have the opportunity to cherish that which has come before us and honor it, and be open to the new, to allow the creative flow of energy to move through us in a way to be spontaneous and open and creative, because that is its nature. My message today, as we wrap up our theme of thank you, the words and the feeling, is going to be steeped in my daily new thought texts that go out each day, or a new thought for the day, daily texts that go out each day. I'm going to use them. I've printed out a bunch of them and kind of just put them together and let them be a baseline for taking us through the foundational components of this teaching that we all love called the science of mind. And I don't have the dates of when they were published, but I'm sure you'll remember several of them from the past. And I invite you to take a moment when you hear them to reconnect to that day you heard them or read them or saw them pop up at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time in the morning, and be grateful for the journey that you've been on since then, no matter what has unfolded in that moment. So we'll begin with the text for today. It's a quote from Plato that says, "We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when humans, men, are afraid of the light." I ask, does this resonate with you? Today, let's remember that light is a quality of the divine that is within you and me, so we don't have to invite it in. Our role is to let it out. I wanted to open with that today so that we each are willing to be open to the light and not afraid of letting our light shine as we begin to make a commitment to the next step in our journey post Thanksgiving week that starts right now. Remembering that we've been focusing on gratitude all week. I love this quote that was a text before that says, "In the conscious practice of gratitude, joy, peace, love, and ease become more apparent as a mindset. We seek to have more of these qualities manifested in our lives. We must first choose to express these qualities for a transformation to take place, not wait for them to be an experience." That's how it works. Let's listen to that again. To experience these qualities in life of peace and love and joy, which are parts of the conscious practice of gratitude, we must first choose to express them, to be them, to give them, so that the law of life can respond in like, as Ernest Holmes tells us, by responding to our state of being so that it becomes real for us in life. Which leads us to the next quote from a daily text, which says, "To walk in the light means to let your divinity radiate from your being. We do that by choosing to reflect our innate divinity, which includes the qualities of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom." And so today, let's consciously choose to engage in one or more of these and revel in the outcome. That's why I chose peace today for our calling in the light ritual. That if we all choose from this moment forward today just to live consciously as peaceful beings, and yes, peace in the context of living from that state of inner calm, as Ernest Holmes defines it, but to expand that to living with purposeful energy, which we know activates conscious evolution, meaning that we're willing to let go of what was and rise to a higher mindset, reflecting our divinity to the best of our ability with our thoughts and actions and reactions and interactions with life itself. Thus, the experiences that we have in life must reflect that. They must show up in that sense. This concept of living out our divinity through our humanity reminds me of this week I shared on social media, as many of you saw, where one of the teens that was in the teen camps that I ran for all those years, who's now a young woman, one a very special being of light, died tragically this week from a car accident, a single vehicle auto accident. And it was such a reminder to me and so many of us of both the fragility of life, but also that the way that we show up in life leaves an impact. This young woman, as tragic as it is and as heartbroken as we all are, Morgan Goodall Scott, she actually came to our service many years ago, and we did some training at the church, and we had the teens all in the congregation there. She was there. It gives us with an opportunity to be conscious and conscientious of how we live our life. Morgan indeed left a great legacy of love and light and letting her divinity guide her humanity. How can we do that for each of us, to let our divinity guide our humanity? I think one of the ways I do this, and one of the ways I would invite all of us to do that, is the guide that we have through this next text for the day, to make a commitment to live as an alchemist. I did a lot of work with a spiritualist for years, and everything that we did was looked at through the lens of the transformation of alchemy. Alchemy is the transformation of darkness into gold, and one that happens by putting just the proper amount of heat on it, not over expressing yourself or attention to transformation, not trying to force it to happen, but trusting that as a co-creator, you, along with the attentiveness of yourself and the divinity, energy of the divine, is that which through a slow process slowly converts the darkness in life into gold, the highest of the high in life. The quote is, "The alchemist is one who transforms all energies into higher frequencies of light and love. They are bringers of a new dawn, transmuting the old paradigms into a higher intelligence and order. They act solely for the highest good of all. Love is the only master they answer to." Today, what if we were to commit to letting love be the only master we answer to? Love, which I speak of almost every Sunday, not as a human emotion, and to not separate ourselves from that, but as an action, as an engagement, as an attitude and awareness, as David Hawkins says, of living consciously engaged in what Holmes says love is, which is the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. And the only way it can do that is through us. And so as we tune into letting our divinity out, because its innate nature is light, that in and of itself, through the chemical process, if you will, of transformation of the state of being becoming form in life, is how we then turn any darkness that exists in our lives into gold, letting that ultimate experience of life show up and be transformative. I know that for you, much like for me, we get beaten down occasionally with the effects of the world. My buddy and I this week, as we were headed somewhere, I think it was when we were headed to the car show, the auto show, we were talking about the most recent mass gun shooting in this country. I think there have now been 3 since then. How it's unfortunate that almost we're becoming immune to it. And of course, then we read politicians and others saying they want to give their thoughts and prayers. And then there are those that say thoughts and prayers aren't enough, and I completely understand that as well. But as the alchemist, I would like for us to look at it a bit differently. That thoughts and prayers are a critical piece to this transformation of energy. We know that thoughts and prayers are the ultimate impact of transformation in and of itself, but they're not enough. In 20th century metaphysics, we were told to treat affirmative prayer, which is a result of paying attention to our thinking with intention, to then treat and move your feet. In the modern day world, what we're being told is to use our thoughts, use our prayers, use our abilities, use our actions, use our reactions and our interactions steeped in love and peace in life, but we must be a conscious participant in the change that we wish to be in life. The great Mahatma Gandhi, we know, is attributed with the quote, "Be the change." He was saying do that more in a way than just thoughts and prayers, but be inclusive with those. In fact, have them be the priority in life. No matter what we're focused on having as an experience, all of the component of the creation is important. But it's important as well to know that our role is through thoughts and prayers and actions, but the law of life is that which is going to bring forth through us a reflection of our consciousness. Thus, it's important for us to not be attached to what is coming to us, through us, as a result of our evolving consciousness. This great quote from Deepak Chopra speaks to that. The law of detachment says to acquire anything, you must relinquish your attachment to it. Not your intention or desire, but your attachment. This is very powerful in co-creating. Attachment comes from a less than or poverty consciousness. Detachment is synonymous with there is enough or wealth consciousness. So it's important to us to release. We know that because it's one of the steps of spiritual mind treatment, the 4th of the 5, I believe. So what we must consciously do on this journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening and tending to our thoughts and our prayers, our affirmative prayers, and that act of releasing and being open and willing to receive while being a conscious participant in transforming the darkness into light, is to be open to what's to come. In 20th century metaphysics, we were always told, be open to this or something bigger, this or something better. But it's important to understand that that is old school terminology in the sense that it's implying that the power that is the co-creative or really the creative force knows what is bigger or better. Let's begin to look at that through a conscious evolutionary standpoint, that it is an impersonal power. It doesn't know in that sense of what's bigger or better. All it knows to do is to respond by corresponding. It doesn't know big or small. So our role in this process is to tune into the highest vibrational frequency, the highest thinking possible, develop and hold that as consciousness, and know that the law of life responds by corresponding. To know that our role here is to consistently, intentionally, and purposefully stay as a co-creator aligned with our innate nature of peace and power, beauty and joy, light, life, and love, and wisdom. Barbara Marx Hubbard, one of the great teachers of the conscious evolutionary movement, tells us in the next text this, in regards to evolving in our thinking. She says, so the path of the co-creator is to be awakened spiritually within, which then turns into your deeper life purpose, which then makes you want to reach out and touch others in a way that expresses self and really evolves our communities and our world. Certainly we can't do that unless we activate ourselves first. That's why, she writes, for me, her, and me too, emergence, that which we're called to, is the shift from ego to essence. That is so important. To live from the essence of who we are. To live from light. To live from peace. To live from power. To live from beauty. To live from joy. To live from life. To live from light, love, and wisdom. On this path of being a co-creator, as we are continuously spiritually awakened, living that way, which then turns into our deeper life purpose, meaning our way of life, which then makes us, of course, want to engage with life itself, others, right? Touching others both literally by being a conscious participant and vibrationally in life. Then naturally, because the law of life responds by corresponding, we then have a continual evolutionary, evolving shift in our consciousness, our totality of mind, and the law of life responds. So therefore, the experiences that we have in life will reflect that. And should we find ourselves not living at that highest possible, to immediately, to the best of our abilities, move into a state of forgiveness, meaning giving ourselves the opportunity to think anew without any attachment to what was or what is to come, step into gratitude and remember the power that we're imbued with and its innate nature. And let that be our practice. It's really what it's all about. Which takes us then to the next quote / text from my peer, and many of you have heard me talk with her on here, is Reverend Lola Wright. She writes, doubt, then, for us to know, is not the way of the universe. And you and I are reflections of this universe, which means a chronic commitment to fear and doubt leads us out of alignment, that which we were speaking of with Barbara Marx Hubbard, creating dis-ease. I'm going to read that to us again so that we hear it in a new way, in regards to living in a spiritually awakened life from an awareness, from a state of emergence. Doubt is not the way of the universe, and you and I are reflections of the universe, which means a chronic commitment to fear and doubt leads us out of alignment, creating dis-ease. Today, we have before us the opportunity to recommit to faith and certainty of the unfailing nature of the universe, of remembering that as we step along the steps of this pathway of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, that it is indeed one thought, one step, one action, one reaction, one interaction at a time. And to be gentle with ourselves as we commit and make covenant with ourselves this new awareness, this new state of emergence as being the foundation for how we express life. This next quote, which is one of mine, I think puts it in a new perspective for us. We often think of ourselves as searching for a spiritual awakening, when in fact we're spiritual beings attempting to cope with a human awakening. Seeing ourselves from this perspective, from the perspective of the spirit within, helps us remember why we came here and what we are to be. What if just for the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours today, we began to see life as we're not human beings trying to live out our divinity, but we are divine beings doing our best to align our humanity with who and what we are. That when we take in our morning coffee, or when we walk the streets doing our shopping, or when we take a nap in the afternoon, that each piece of the journey is one of awakening, literally awakening, coming out of a slumber, letting our divinity be that presence as a state of emergence. And when our humanity comes along, we engage in it from this state of emergence. What power comes with that? What power there is in that? The next text takes us directly into an understanding and a practical approach to this. And it says, we cannot grow then in power until we develop a consciousness as power. Remembering that power is one of the qualities of the divine. It says here, it's important to remember that our power does not come from the outside, the human life. It comes from within. Power is energy and doesn't do anything until it's used, until we apply it. And so let's begin to apply the power, the quality of the divine that we are, with wisdom. Let's do it wisely as we continue on this journey of our state of emergence, becoming the foundational state of our being. Khalil Gibran tells us the way to do that is through this, our next text. And God said, love your enemy, and I obeyed and loved myself. That's important for us as we step into this new framework of mind right now. Because through that act of love comes an act of forgiveness, acceptance, and action. In this text I wrote, this quote stirs up so much in my soul. I trust it does for you as well. So let's choose today to give ourselves an inner hug and be gentler and kinder with ourselves, warts and all. This love that is spoken of here, of loving ourselves, is this action step, both through an emotional action, but more importantly, by creating this avenue by which we allow spirit to give of itself, making more of itself, radiating more of itself through you and through me as unencumbered as possible. So often we hear the term quite flippantly, but I think it has power if we buy into it, which is the struggle is real, girl. But today, let's begin to look at our spiritual evolution, our emergence as a state of being, of our engagement in life, not as the struggle is real, but that the journey is real. The journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening is real. There are moments that's going to be and has been joyous and celebratory and exciting and heartwarming. And then there will be moments when that's not the case. And so often the opposites of that may show up. But it's important to remember that the journey is a step by step by step by step, thought by thought by thought by thought journey process. And so our role is to let love out. The great Momo Mother Teresa tells us that to remember that people, because we're going to get engaged with them oftentimes, are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. The good you do today, people may forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. What Momo Terry is telling us here is this really speaks to this evolutionary consciousness that I've been speaking of this entire time. It speaks to this journey that we're on, understanding that It's all about what we give in life and how we respond and react to that. And that when she's telling us to forgive, she's not just speaking about forgiving others. She's speaking to us about forgiving ourselves first. So it's important on this journey that we're embarking on today, if it's live at 10:43 a.m. Pacific time on November 27th in the year 2022, no matter where we are or whenever we may be watching or listening to this, to remember who, what, and why we are. Eckhart Tolle tells us this in the next text. You and I are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold. That's how important you are. What's the divine purpose? Well, the universe delights in creation, creativity, and creating anew. Being one with the universe, the you and I, that too then is our nature. So let's remember today that we're here to live anew, to enable this divine purpose of the universe to unfold through us. Holmes addresses it in this way, in the next text. The spirit, the power, out of the prolific possibilities of itself, delivers to each of us individually and to all collectively as much of itself as we are able to accept. Think about that. This power, out of the prolific possibilities of itself, delivers to each of us individually and to all collectively as much of itself as we're able to accept. Today's the day that we get to open our hearts and our soul and receive more and more and more of the spirit of the divine. How do we do that? Well, Aristotle in the next text tells us we do it this way. Be a free thinker. And don't accept everything that you hear as truth. Be critical and evaluate what you believe in. That's what we're all called to do. My response to that in the text was, thank you, Ari, for the invitation to put to use our greatest gift in life, or second greatest gift, choice. Since our beliefs are showing up as form in our lives, let's exercise critical thinking with them today. So today, you and I are called in a new way by leaning into having a new state of emergence as our foundation, by being conscious of letting our divinity guide us, by living from a place of not our ego, by changing our vibrational frequency, by living in a state of love, and by radiating our divinity to do this, to let there be peace on earth, and to let it begin with me, you and me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. We get to be a peace revealer today, a love revealer, light, beauty, joy, and wisdom as well. And we have before us a new dawn. Matt Kahn tells us, if you thank your mind, it will relax. If you thank your heart, it will open. If you thank your past, it will integrate. If you thank your symptoms, they will heal. If you thank your shadow, it will vanish. If you thank your life, it will transform. If you thank yourself, the light will dawn. Happy dawning. Happy Sunday, and thank you. Karen's going to come back and sing a great Curtis Mayfield song for us.
Thank you. This Curtis Mayfield song is fantastic. He was an artist in the 70s and a great songwriter. In this song, he's actually talking to a young man. So here we go. Move on up. Hush now, child, and don't you cry. Your folks might not understand you, but by and by, move on up and keep on wishing. Remember, your dream is your only scheme, so keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey the rumors people say, 'cause you can pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Oh, bite your lip and take a trip. Wet road ahead, but you cannot slip. Just move on up, for peace you will find. Into the people of beautiful people where there's only one mind. Oh, move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Oh.
What a great rendition of that song.
It's a great song. It's all about just have faith. I like into the steeple of beautiful people where there's only one kind.
Yes. Yeah. So true. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it. Thank you.
All right.
So thank you all for being here today. It's just great that we're all together today. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Karen for being our musical artist today, and a big thank you to Travis Smith for our audio technical support team. Also, a big thank you to Robert Hensley, our administrative assistant and social media individual, and most importantly, just thank you to all of you, and a big thank you to the universe. And how about a thank you to Ernest Holmes and to Deepak Chopra and Barbara Marx Hubbard and Plato and Aristotle and all of them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got a great week ahead of us, and before I share with you what those are, I'd like to remind you that you can access all information for us through our website, csl-la.org, as well as you can find us on all social media. We're on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and as well as you can sign up through our website and or our app in the App Store if you'd like to get the New Thought text for the day. Those are great tools to transform your day. And yeah, I think that's what I have for you. We'll be back in person on December the 11th at our home at Congregation Colamy at 1200 North La Brea Avenue in West Hollywood, California at 10:30 that morning. So please make plans to be there and to bring friends. It would really be great to have a full house in there that day, and love to share that. That will be our in-person holiday service. Even though right now we are going to have a service on Christmas morning online, so know that so that's the answer to that. I'm going to put on the screen some other information for you to have. Let me just get that organized. And here we go. So I want to let you know that each Wednesday morning we have a midweek morning meditation that takes place at 8:30 a.m. and it's a Zoom call. Feel free to find that information there as well as or through our website. You can also get that on our weekly e-newsletter that goes out the first of the week. We come together for 20-25 minutes and I take us through a guided meditation that is just that, and it's got great intent and purpose behind it, and it's fulfilling should you desire to participate in that. I want to remind you that this Thursday evening at 7 p.m. we are participating with Congregation Colamy among many other local churches or service centers, if you will, for an interfaith service for World AIDS Day. It's a beautiful evening that we've done for several years now of coming together and commemorate those who have died from AIDS and just sharing love and go forward and heal from there. We do have a panel of the quilt that's there in the building. And so I invite you to please participate there. There's that all the information has been sent out to the community. You can find it on our website, as well as we'll continue to send out reminders this week. I'm not sure if you need to RSVP or not, but just know that I would love to have all of you there if at all possible. And I'm participating as many other ministers from the area will be. And there's the Vox Women's Choir will be singing, which is just going to be beautiful. It's a beautiful, 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 heartwarming evening. It also will be streamed live, so that access is available to you as well. All right, and I'm going to provide an opportunity now for us all to support our community financially called Conscious Giving. Karen's going to come on in just a moment and take us through our Conscious Giving song. But first, know that the options to do that is you can go to our website, CSL-LA.org, and click on Donate. You can go to the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and click on the upper left bars, and the screen will come up. You'll see the Donate tab. You can also mail in a check. Our address is on the screen, 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. And I can handle it privately. If you want to use my phone to do that, my phone number is on the screen. Robert is popping in saying you do need to RSVP for World AIDS Day, so know that. And all of that information will be sent out to all of you. Also, please consider us to be a part of your year-end giving. We've got some stuff that's coming up that's come our way, and our costs are increasing dramatically on some stuff. And so we just know that we appreciate all of your financial support. Karen, would you please take us through our song? You all can
Yes,
sing along if you like. It's called Love Is My Decision. While we
absolutely.
take a moment and support our community
Here we
financially.
go. Yes. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision.
I love it. What a great way to end musically for us today. Thank you, Karen. Just so great to have you here. Thank you again. I know that the joy that you bring into this experience, we all experience. We get to receive it and share it and give it back out to the world.
It's my
So
pleasure, and I'm always grateful to listen to you and to be a part of it.
thank you.
So thank you.
Well, peace and blessings to you, and
Okay.
until we see you again.
Yes. Okay.
So feel free to stay on and say hi later if you'd like.
Ah, okay.
All right, cool. So I want to thank you all once again just for being here, and know that you are in the perfect and right place in your life. That exactly where you are is the place for the spark of creativity to take place. There is an impetus that is being called forth within you to express its divinity in a new way. It's making itself known right now. And so I affirm for each one of us that we're ready to receive, ready to give, ready to share our light. The acronym for light is Living in God's Healing Truth. Know that you get to decide for yourself what that word God means. What I know for you is it's an impersonal, all-encompassing power of life that is given each and every one of us the opportunity to express it. It's all we need to know. And so, as we go forward this week, let's express it with kindness, with compassion, with intention, and with purpose. Have a great day. If you're here with us on Zoom, we're going to stay on for a moment and say hello. If you've joined us by some other social media format, we're going to say goodbye to you right now. Know that you are loved just as you are, and just as you are is how you should choose to love others. Thank you and have a great Sunday. Peace and blessings.